Episode 5 kicked off one of the biggest reveals in the whole digital circus, and Episode 6 only cemented our belief that this character is insanely important for the story, at least when it comes to Jax's arc. But if you watch till the end, you'll get why Ribbit and his turn into an abstracted monster became the key moment that changed the whole course of the digital circus. Today, we're gonna break it all down, figure out once and for all who's to blame for his so-called death, and try to predict how this character might shape Episode 7 and if we'll see anything more than just that drawing on the door. The very first mention of Ribbit came in the first half of Episode 5.
Do you have any actual friends?
Not anymore.
Wait, no. I'm sorry. I wasn't talking about that. That wasn't meant to be,
Even back then, it felt insanely weird that Jax reacted that way, and the fact Regatha instantly started apologizing for what she said really made me think that this so-called best friend meant a ton to Jax, and his abstraction was clearly insanely traumatizing for our rabbit. There were also theories that Jax himself had something to do with what happened, which is exactly why he's so good at dodging any mention of it.
I'm sorry, Jax, for bringing up that thing earlier.
So, you wanna talk about that?
I'm in a maid outfit. What do you think?
What was that about?
It's nothing. Who cares? Doesn't she get on your nerves sometimes?
Jax is doing literally everything he can just to switch the topic, and that's pretty much where Ribbit's whole reveal in Episode 5 ended. But after the episode dropped, we got a lil concept art show on Ribbit. Plus, way before Episode 5 even came out, Goose already spilled some info that Ribbit abstracted not too long ago. There were tons of different theories about what really went down with Ribbit, but Episode 5 was only the start of that story. Then in Episode 6, we got some more hints about this character, and that's where things got real crazy, because in that same scene we also saw Kaufmo's door, and Jax, at least to me, seemed mad when he saw it, while his reaction to Ribbit's door was totally different. Remember how a couple months back I told y'all that theory that Pomni might kinda be Ribbit's reincarnation, since at first Pomni was supposed to be a frog, but then the creators switched her design to a jester. And if we draw that kind of parallel, it gets way easier to figure out what really happened to Ribbit even before the pilot dropped, and why Jax turned into such a jerk right after that. Let's go back to that Regatha and Jax convo scene.
I know exactly what you're doing with Pomni, and it'll never work!
Huh?
You know, getting close with Pomni. To corrupt her?
By this point, a lot of folks were already wondering why Regatha sounded so damn sure about Jax's intentions. What happened next only made all those theories and guesses even stronger, cause that kind of rage from Jax was totally uncalled for, which means Regatha once again managed to hit Jax right where it hurts. All this was a pretty long dive before the main story even kicked in, and if we bring back that parallel with Pomni, it's easy to see Ribbit was originally a real friendly and kind of character. But after meeting him, a lot of things changed. In one of my vids, I already told y'all how Jax used to have talks like that with Ribbit.
Whether we like it or not, all we are now is a bunch of cartoon characters. So what's the point of pretending we're not?
We're still people, though, right?
I thought we were at first, but as time goes on, we just end up falling into our archetypes, become part of the machine.
And how it most likely had some irreversible impact on the Lil Frog. We can see this whole act and fake thing actually messes up the character's mental health real bad. And after meeting Jax, Ribbit, instead of keeping on being that same sweetheart he used to be at the very start of his life in the digital circus, decided to throw on a mask that totally went against who he really was. In the context of today's topic, it's crazy important to remember these words from Jax.
I do not care about you or anyone else in this circus in the slightest. End of story.
Now we get that all this stuff Jax says is just him trying to, keep up his mask that protects him from the nasty consequences that sooner or later are gonna mess with this bunny big time. On top of that, Jax does all this to keep everyone at a distance, and even though it's straight up fallout from losing his best friend, we can see that the seeds of this kind of behavior probably already existed in Jax back when he was friends with Ribbit. The bunny was living in the digital circus even before Ribbit showed up, and probably already witnessed a few other characters get abstracted. After getting close to Ribbit, Jax did everything he thought was right, not just to avoid turning into that kind of creature himself, but also to save his best friend from the same fate. On one hand, Jax was helping his friend, but I feel like it actually just made Ribbit's life harder. Still, because of his strong attachment to Jax, he couldn't say a word. Ribbit lived by the rules Jax set for him, totally ignoring his own wants, and even though he had fun sometimes, Pretending like that slowly started driving the little frog insane. For a while, he kept listening to his so-called more experienced mentor, convinced it was the only way to survive in this digital space. Imagine being in Ribbit's shoes. You're naturally a kind soul, and for some reason, you end up in a place so unreal that you could literally lose your mind in a second. It's scary at first, but over time you start interacting with the others, and things seem kinda okay. Then Jack shows up and starts laying out everything that happened before you got here, and of course you freak out. He tells you there's this thing called an abstracted monster, and bit by bit, you start noticing more and more rooms of characters who've gone through it. After all that, your best friend tells you to find your archetype and then everything will be fine, so you listen and slowly start living that way. But we all remember what kind of character Ribbit really is, and now think back to like Jax's entertainment.
Ladies first. No, wait, why would I say that? Hey, Gangle, you should ram into him.
What?
You should not ram them. Pomni's still on board.
Do it, it'll be epic.
Why are there so many knives back here?
Do it, or I'll tell Ragatha about the figurine thing.
Hi! I'm a New Zealand extremist, and I don't know what New Zealanders threaten people with.
Ribbit totally knew this wasn't how it should be, but with Jax constantly preaching at him, he had no choice but to listen and do the same. This went on day after day, and of course that struggle between his mask and his real self couldn't just vanish without a trace, and slowly, Ribbit started noticing changes in himself. With each day, it just got worse and worse, and in the end, we all know where that led. By protecting him, Jax only ended up hurting his friend, and that's exactly why he's scared to make any new real friends.
We make such a good team. We could just be winners as a team.
We're not a team, come on.
What do you mean? Yes, we are.
Delusional.
Weren't we kind of bonding over being chaotic evil together?
I was merely entertaining you because I thought it was funny.
I think he totally gets that Ribbit turning into an abstracted monster is completely on him, and that pain just keeps crushing down on Jax harder and harder every single day. Let's get this out of the way right away. The chance of Ribbit showing up as the actual living character we know is basically zero. After episode 5, I had this theory that that weird mannequin could be Ribbit, but honestly, the more I think about it now, the less I buy into that. However, the fact that Ribbit is definitely going to play a major role in the new episode is already basically 100% confirmed. I'm totally sure that in episode 7 we'll see Jax's memories where Ribbit is the key character. That's where we'll learn the full truth about what really went down with him, and what's got me hyped just as much. They'll show us Jax before he turned into such a jerk. In the end, I gotta say, I really feel for Ribbit and how his fate turned out. I think he'd have been the perfect character even for the main storyline of the digital circus. As usual, I'm looking forward to your thoughts in the comments, and see you in the next video.